hakuna vile utawafikia kama hauna clue.
Marion Barasa, KTN.
Let's turn our focus to a silence that unsettled the nation. In his latest State of the Nation address, President William Ruto never once mentioned human rights violations, police misconduct, or the plight of Kenyans stranded abroad. This omission comes against the backdrop of deadly protests and forced disappearances and cross-border abductions of activists. Kenyans are left asking, is silence from the highest office complicity? And what does it mean for the future of democracy? Vera Mora tells us more.
As I prepared this address, I reflected deeply on the long road we have traveled as a nation.
On Thursday, 20th November 2025, the President stood before Parliament to deliver the State of the Nation address. In his 1 hour 15-minute speech, one subject was glaringly absent: human rights violations, police misconduct, and the plight of Kenyans trapped in foreign countries. Kenyans are now asking, how can a government claim to uphold constitutional values when it refuses to even acknowledge the abuses happening under its watch? They are left wondering whether silence is complicity. From June 2024 to November 2025, Amnesty International estimated that excessive use of force by security agencies during protests resulted in at least 128 deaths, 3,000 arrests, and over 83 enforced disappearances. Families are still searching for loved ones who vanished. They had hopes the President would provide an update on efforts to reunite families with their missing kins. It was during this State of the Nation address that the President ought to have spoken about young protesters branded as terrorists simply for exercising their right to assembly. Yet President William Ruto mentioned none of this in his speech. Activists continue to face intimidation. 3 Kenyan activists had been detained across borders in Tanzania and Uganda, held in Communicado for days without due process. At the very moment when the country expected its leader to reaffirm Kenyans' commitment to Article 12(1)(b) of the Constitution, which guarantees that every citizen is entitled to the protection of the state, even when thousands of miles from home, the President remained silent. Then how can the head of state remain quiet when his citizens are abducted and tortured beyond our borders? Meanwhile, more Kenyans remain stranded, trapped, and exploited in foreign countries, from Russia to the Middle East to Tanzania after election clashes. Yet these citizens did not feature anywhere in the President's speech. More worrying is that just 4 months ago, the President himself issued the shoot-on-the-leg orders. If such directives are normalized by the highest office in the land, what message does this silence send to victims and their families?
Mtu ambaye anachukua moto, anaenda kuchoma biashara ya mtu, anaenda kuchoma mali ya watu wengine. Mtu kama huyo apigwe risasi miguu, aende hospitali, akienda kotini.
This year's omission raises urgent questions. Why is police misconduct ignored at the highest level of government? How can democracy survive if dissent is criminalized and victims erased from the national conversation? To many, until human rights violations are confronted openly, the silence of leadership will remain the loudest betrayal. Vera Mora, KTN.
Construction sites where...
Well, that story by Vera Mora totally encompasses some of the areas that the President didn't highlight, leaving more questions than answers. KTN Prime takes a short break. We'll be back with much more information for you. Keep it right here.
It's Yes Number on November